Joining us right now in studio, Tom Fitton, the president of Judicial Watch. Boy, Tom, it's a good day for you, isn't it? Do you feel vindicated?
I always feel vindicated. It's a matter if everyone just catches up with our vindication.
Gotcha. Well,
I'm always right.
That's right.
U.S. District Court Judge Royce Lamberth handed it to the State Department in a case which Judicial Watch was suing. He sued in 2014 to get Hillary Clinton's emails regarding the 2012 terror attack on the consulate in Benghazi. And he went after the State Department for lying to him.
Yeah.
What happened?
Well, they had all these Clinton emails they didn't tell Judicial Watch or the court about. And this is the email case or the FOIA case that broke open the Clinton email scandal. We noticed there were no Clinton emails in some of our Benghazi materials, so we asked again, sued again, said we gave you everything, but there's this other stuff we need to look at. And they started playing games with us. And it turned out this other stuff was 50,000 pages of records they had gotten back from Hillary Clinton, who had skedaddled with them from the State Department. And the court was upset because they wanted us to shut down the case. They wanted the court to shut down the case, but they didn't say anything about these Clinton emails. So we asked for discovery, which means the ability to gather evidence under court process. We want to have Hillary Clinton testify. The court sat on it for a few years, and he had a hearing on it on Friday, and it was quite extraordinary hearing. He comes out and he says, look, I granted discovery to Judicial Watch. They wanted me to shut this case down. I'm glad we didn't shut the case down. And false statements were made to me by the State Department, false affidavits. I don't know what the Justice Department was doing with these false affidavits. And most of the hearing was the Justice Department lawyer trying to tell the judge, well, we weren't lying to you. That's not the position you want to be in before a federal court judge.
I mean, if you have a judge saying there were false affidavits sent to me, aren't there legal penalties that come along with that? That you're sending false affidavits to a federal judge?
Yeah, there are remedies, and that's what we're seeking. We want to find out who knew what and when,
right?
How this Freedom of Information Act process was thwarted by Hillary Clinton and the State Department. And incredibly, this State Department still doesn't want to answer any questions on this. They don't want us to talk to Hillary Clinton under oath. They don't want to answer any additional questions themselves. And, the judge has already granted us discovery. It's just a matter of how much discovery we get at this point.
Why would President Trump's State Department be protecting Hillary Clinton? I mean, that seems to be the big question. It seems to me that there are people who are still pretty high up in the State Department who are still with the State Department who have a lot to lose if she's not protected.
Well, my guess is this hasn't been on Secretary Pompeo's radar, and I hope it now will be, and they'll have a change in position. But it's like the Justice Department. Justice Department hasn't changed its positions legally on a lot of our key transparency cases under the Freedom of Information Act, whether it be Hillary or the illicit effort to target Donald Trump. So these bureaucracies, unless they're told directly by the president to do otherwise, won't release materials or won't be transparent.
That is one of the most frustrating things, and it has to be for you, but just as an observer of your legal process, as you've been seeking this information since the Obama administration, you'd think the Trump administration, that somebody in the chain of command would come along and say, you know what, we should be more forthcoming on this stuff. It doesn't mean they have to play partisan politics. It doesn't mean they have to go out of their way to hurt their political enemies or anything. But if you're going to be transparent, truly be transparent. Just cough up all the stuff that you need to for Judicial Watch or anybody else, so long as it both serves the public interest and doesn't violate anything in terms of actually releasing it to the public that's important to our national security.
The State Department, through its Justice Department lawyer the other day, was telling the court, if we don't have the documents, we don't have to search them. And the judge says, and that's because the secretary was doing this on a private server, so it wasn't in state's possession, so you played the same word game she played. This is the Sessions Justice Department defending the Pompeo State Department defending Hillary Clinton.
It's amazing.
It's not the deep state, it's the top state. Where are these top-level officials, and why aren't they policing their agencies on this? This is a big issue. It helped elect the President of the United States, and you would think the Comey's head of the FBI, and John Kerry's running the State Department. Loretta Lynch is running the Justice Department on this particular issue.
Cheryl Mills was also mentioned by this judge, by Judge Lamberth, and he said, I had myself found that Cheryl Mills had committed perjury and lied under oath in a published opinion I had issued in the Judicial Watch case. But she's been granted immunity. Does she get granted immunity for lying to a judge?
She was granted immunity. I don't think the immunity would extend past her immediate testimony at the time. So they can question her again without immunity. We're seeking information from Cheryl Mills as well. Ironically, that decision the judge was referencing was from the Clinton administration, where the Clinton White House, at which Cheryl Mills was a lawyer, has essentially mishandled a bunch of emails, and they didn't tell the court about it. And as a result, the searches were all compromised. Does that sound familiar?
Wow.
And of course, Hillary Clinton, that was her FBI files case that we're suing her over. They all knew exactly what was happening when it came to emails and the importance of searching them as they went into the State Department. Of course, Cheryl Mills was Hillary's chief of staff.
Amazing. Just absolutely amazing. We've got more with Tom Fitton coming up, 6:43 on WMAL. Joining us in studio, Tom Fitton, president of Judicial Watch. Wanted to also talk to you about just a couple of other things that are going on. We've got the Republicans are trying to get as many interviews as they can in, because they're afraid, if they lose the House, all of these investigations are going to go away. Democrats will stop all of these investigations. They are set to interview FBI's former general counsel James Baker and Nellie Ohr, the wife of Bruce Ohr. What do you think? What are they looking for in these two interviews?
They're going to look before improper collaboration between the Justice Department and Fusion GPS, the Clinton campaign Democratic National Committee vendor that helped create the dossier, or at least one version of it, and that was used to illicitly spy on the Trump campaign. Baker was an FBI lawyer. He met with Fusion GPS after the election. And Nellie Ohr, of course, the wife of Bruce Ohr, the number 4 official at the Justice Department at the time, who was a go-between for Fusion GPS and the FBI and Justice Department. Even after the FBI said, we don't want to talk to Christopher Steele anymore, but they did take his information through Bruce Ohr, who had, I think, a conflict of interest as a result of his wife working at Fusion GPS. But that was the Obama Justice Department, and rules didn't apply when it came to targeting President Trump.
What do we think of James Baker? Is he a truth teller right now in this process?
Well, lawyers don't like to lie under oath generally, so he probably will, when pushed, talk about what went on. Mm-hmm. So I think Mr. Baker is going to be an interesting witness because he's the top lawyer at the FBI. Worked for McCabe. Before that, worked for Comey.
What do you make of Special Counsel Robert Mueller announcing that he's going to make an announcement after the midterms? Like, why announce that you're going to make an announcement?
Well, the question is, who's making the announcement he's going to make an announcement? People who have an interest in, maybe cornering him into making an announcement. I just don't buy it. I know when you're investing, you shouldn't take past performance as an indication of future performance, but it's a pretty good rule of thumb for politics and cases like this. And I think it's going to be more of the same after the election. Dubious indictments, to a degree they're warranted, that we don't need a special counsel for them. Vague allegations of collusion and obstruction by the president, and an harassing, unneeded special counsel targeting President Trump.
Well, a source close to the investigation told Fox News that Mueller is close to rendering judgment on 2 cases, one being whether there were clear incidents of collusion between Russia and Donald Trump's campaign, and whether the president took any actions that constitute obstruction of justice. Those are the 2 big things that are supposedly coming out after the midterms.
Well, if he's in a position to exonerate the president, he needs to do it quickly. And I don't see him making decisions on those issues, given the stance the president has taken with Mueller, since they haven't decided whether to answer his questions under oath yet.
Yeah, and they also say this doesn't mean the findings are going to be made public either. We may not know.
No, the rules are that he issue a report or give a report to Rod Rosenstein. I don't know how detailed it needs to be, but that's no obligation to be public. Now, the pressure for it to become public once it says someone transfers the paper to the Justice Department is going to be immense.
Yeah, well, a lot coming up. Tom Fitton, thank you so much for coming in to join us.
We have more with Tom.
Oh, we
We'll
do
keep,
have more.
stick
with
Stick
Tom.
around.
Oh, we do
I
have
want,
more
I
with
want
Tom.
more with Tom. Let's keep
Look,
him in.
don't go anywhere, Tom. Just hang around. More with Tom. 6:50 on WMAL. And we are joined in studio by Tom Fitton, the president of Judicial Watch. Tom, just want to ask you, between now and the midterms, we've got 19 days between now and the midterms. Are we going to hear anything about declassification and the British government? You hear anything about that? You heard anything about that? You know, when the president was going to declassify that.
Yeah, what are you hearing?
Those
Tom?
documents, and then we were told, well, we're not going to because two foreign governments apparently had a problem with it, one of them being Britain and the other one allegedly being Australia.
Yeah, the two foreign governments that were coordinating with the Obama gang to try to take out Trump before he was president with the spy operation. So surprisingly, they object to having their malicious efforts uncovered. I don't know what's going to happen between now and the election. I suspect those documents, or a good portion of them, will eventually be declassified. But, you know, in our business, waiting for documents to come, they never come as quickly as you want. But when they do, they're important. So the timing I can't guess, but their importance, I think, would be difficult to overstate.
Rod Rosenstein this week, the Deputy Attorney General, did an interview with the Wall Street Journal, a rather rare occurrence for Rod Rosenstein. And in it, he said about the Mueller investigation, people are entitled to be frustrated. I can accept that. But at the end of the day, the public will have confidence that the cases we brought were warranted by the evidence, and then it was an appropriate use of resources. It's quite a statement. I mean, this has been a very expensive investigation that thus far has not yielded anything that is commensurate with its value, Tom.
And for which we don't need a special counsel. A lot of the big Russia indictments he's made have been pawned off already on the Justice Department. And the key reason for his appointment, the firing of Comey, never required a special counsel. It wasn't anything warranting a criminal investigation. And certainly Mr. Rosenstein shouldn't have been involved in it in the least, given the fact that his recommendations were at issue in the investigation.
Well, it seemed like a face-saving move for Rod Rosenstein more than anything else. It was like he was battling with Andrew McCabe over who was at fault. So he's like, you know what I'll do? I'll launch a special counsel and save my career.
It's interesting. He's talking in the Wall Street Journal while he's hesitant to talk to Congress. I'm sure Congress will be thrilled in the news today at that.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
If Republicans lose the House, does this all shut down? These investigations into what's going on?
No, you have Judicial Watch. This is
That's
why we
true.
do our work. We don't wait for Congress
Look
to
at
do
this
anything.
guy. There's Tom Fitton secretly sitting over here hoping the Congress loses. so
We
he
have-
gets a bunch of donors to fund him and his
We
investigation.
have 30-plus lawsuits pending on these issues, and we're getting documents Congress doesn't get anyway. So, you know, Congress, we were happy to have the limited help they provided, but we never relied on it.
Power. Look at that. That's a boss statement right there.
Well,
Yeah, I'm doing the real investigations.
Tom Fitton, thank you so much for joining us. We do appreciate you being here.